10 weirdly specific crime waves from the last 2 centuries. Hey there, Creepshow crew. Welcome back to another fascinating episode where we dive deep into the weirdest and most bizarre corners of human behavior. I'm your name, and today we're unraveling some of the strangest crime waves from the last 2 centuries. From dog-napping designer pooches to a black market for avocados, these stories are sure to leave you scratching your head and maybe even laughing a bit. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started with our countdown of the top 10 weirdly specific crime waves. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on the creepy and curious stories we bring you every week. Crimes might not be amusing too often, but they can be quite peculiar. There are some that just do not appear to make any sense in terms of the reward they offer in comparison to the risk of being detected, while there are others that see criminals engaging in or targeting unpredictable activities. There is always a risk that people may duplicate a crime, and it will become a wave of illegal activity. This is true regardless of how weird a crime may appear to the general public who does not engage in criminal activity. Vandalism involving vegetables and the distribution of detergent with illegal substances are just two examples of the many bizarre-sounding crime waves that have occurred in recent times. A list of 10 that are likely to be as perplexing as they are entertaining is presented here. Number 10. VW badge theft. It is possible that they were concerned about their own right to party, but it appears that fans of the American rap-rock band the Beastie Boys were not very concerned about the property rights of Volkswagen car owners. Over the course of the spring and summer of 1987, the Volkswagen badge was removed off the front of as many as 250 vehicles every single day. Beastied was a term that was used to describe this phenomenon since the badges were being stolen by fans who wanted to imitate the appearance of Beastie Boy Mike D. He donned a chain that had a Volkswagen badge dangling from it in the music video for their hit, You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party, which was considered to be quite popular. Volkswagen made a hasty attempt to put an end to the thefts by giving badges at no cost. The majority of the thefts occurred in the United States and the United Kingdom, both of which were locations where the Beastie Boys were on tour. They made the announcement through a humorous advertising campaign that made a joke about how the thefts were driving their customers to use more swear words than the Beastie Boys. 9. Theft and indecent exposure at the location known as Butthole Road. The country of England is replete with communities and roads with odd names. Despite the fact that it is awkward for people who live in such places to communicate their addresses with one another, residing in such places does not typically result in a great deal of problems. Those who lived on Butthole Road in the town of Conisbrough, on the other hand, did not experience situations like that. In spite of the fact that it is not unusual for people to snap photographs with the street signs of locations that have offensive titles, a significant number of the individuals who visited Butthole Road desired to take a particular kind of selfie with it, in which the individual did not reveal their face, but did reveal their cheeks. Because this occurred so frequently, one family who lived on the street were so frustrated that they decided to sell their home and move away. Another typical incident that the villagers had to put up with was the theft of the street sign. Additionally, delivery firms refused to believe that the road existed, which was another challenging situation for them. It is believed that the name is a reference to a community water butt that existed in that location hundreds of years ago. During the year 2009, the people of the area who were exhausted paid for the road to be renamed Archer's Way. 8. Fake books were substituted for antique books. At least 170 rare books were considered to have been taken from libraries in 9 different European nations during the years 2022 and 2023. All of the books that were targeted were first editions of works written by Russian authors such as Nikolai Gogol and Alexander Pushkin. It would appear, however, that these were taken not because the burglars had a liking for intellectual literature, but rather because they were extremely valuable when they were stolen. There were some of them that were sold to auction houses in Russia, and it is estimated that the thefts cost the libraries a total of $2.6 million. There were 9 persons from Georgia who were detained in connection with the scheme. Although it is highly unlikely that they were taking the classic books for their own personal use, they did demonstrate a high level of sophistication when it came to manufacturing copies of the volumes. When they went to a library for the first time, they would make a request to view the old books so that they could take photographs of them and meticulously measure these collections. Following that, they would leave the library and make a copy of it, and then they would come back to the library to exchange it with the original. 7. The dognapping of designers. It is possible for antique books to fetch a high price, particularly those that were authored by a well-known author. In a similar vein, designer items are more expensive than unbranded ones, and the fact that they are of such high value makes them an attractive target for thieves. In the 2010 dogs became a common target for organized criminals, which is noteworthy because dogs are a rare form of designer good. Dogs that were targeted in the dognappings were often expensive and fashionable breeds that the perpetrators intended to either sell or use for breeding or combat purposes. When criminals in the United Kingdom discovered that there was a high reward available for a relatively minor risk, they were excited. In the eyes of the law, stealing a dog was the same as stealing a laptop or a mobile phone. One other strategy involves kidnapping pets and demanding that their owners pay for their safe return. The 3 French bulldogs belonging to pop diva Lady Gaga were taken from her when they were out on a walk in Hollywood in the year 2021. She issued a reward of $500,000, and 2 days later they were returned to her. However, she was never required to pay the prize since the woman who returned them was found guilty of being engaged in the theft. Scams involving Nigerian princes. Thefts of books and dogs are, in reality, nothing more than a circuitous way for organized criminal parties to gain money. Some individuals like a more straightforward approach, and online scammers have been among the few individuals who have been more effective in transferring money from other people into their own pockets. When it was at its peak in the late 1990s, the fraud was so pervasive that even government espionage agencies were brought in to assist in putting a stop to it. Today, their famous Nigerian prince email tactic appears to be a ridiculous relic from the past. It turned out that the unfortunate Nigerian prince who required assistance moving his money was actually only one example of an advance fee fraud, which is sometimes referred to as a 419 inches scam. It was anticipated that 500,000 of these were sent to individuals all around the world in the year 1998. The United Kingdom alone was losing over £3.5 billion annually due to frauds of this nature at the time, and spies from MI5 and MI6 were recruited to assist in putting a stop to it. But this tsunami of criminal activity did not stop there. It is believed that similar cons are still being perpetrated, as evidenced by the fact that individuals continue to fall for them, as stated by several cybersecurity authorities. They are also becoming more smart, employing artificial intelligence to reduce the number of giveaways, such as typos in grammar and spelling. 5. Have a good time slapping. Creating a video that goes viral is one of the ways that the internet has provided people with opportunities to make money, or at the very least, to become famous. One strategy for individuals to boost the likelihood of a video going viral is to capitalize on a trend that is currently occurring. Presently, none of this appears to be unique. In 2005, when camera phones were still in their infancy and YouTube had just been formed, video trends were still relatively new, and people were just beginning to learn that they could be harmful. Nevertheless, People were just beginning to realize that video trends could be dangerous. During that era, one of the most noteworthy trends was known as happy slapping. During this, individuals were seen slapping or beating bystanders while simultaneously recording the assaults on their mobile devices. There were some academicians who pointed the finger of blame at famous television shows like Jackass and Dirty Sanchez for the assaults that occurred during that time period. Despite the fact that the pranks that were played on television were performed on adults who gave their agreement, many of the happy slappers targeted strangers or victims who were unaware of what was going on. Although it received extensive coverage in the media and provoked an uproar from lawmakers, the trend of joyful slapping soon went away, just like every other online craze that has occurred. Vandalism committed by Vigilante cameras. New camera technology was also a contributing factor in the hundreds of crimes that occurred across London in the year 2023. The perpetrators, on the other hand, showed little interest in being filmed, in contrast to the happy slappers. To achieve their goal, they desired for the cameras to be either taken or destroyed. 987 assaults were carried out against the ultra-low emission zone, ULEZ, cameras in the city in just 7 months. The purpose of these cameras is to determine whether or not a vehicle satisfies specific emission criteria and to assess a daily fee if it does not. Despite the fact that just about 5% of automobiles do not meet the regulations, the plan to clean the air in the city was extremely contentious from a political standpoint. In August of 2023, the use of cameras was expanded to cover all of the boroughs that make up Greater London. By November of the same year, the police had documented that 220 cameras had been stolen, and 767 of them had been damaged. The number of people who joined Facebook groups that were opposed to the system exceeded 40,000, and those who joined those groups were also strongly encouraged not to pay the daily cost. 3. Attempting to attack famous paintings with food. Vandalism has also been utilized as a contentious strategy by individuals who are worried about the environment, such as the activist group Just Stop Oil in the early 2020s. Their primary objective, on the other hand, was to get some short-term exposure for their cause rather than to do harm that would last for an extended period of time. This was not a good thing for the world because they targeted some of the most cherished and expensive paintings that are housed in museums all around Europe. The act of tossing food at the paintings was a pattern of behavior that they frequently employed. In 2 prominent instances, mashed potatoes were thrown over grain stacks by Monet and tomato soup was spilled over sunflowers by Van Gogh. Both of these examples are discussed more below. To our good fortune, the paintings were safeguarded by a glass screen, and they were not damaged in any way. Additionally, chocolate cake was smeared on top of a sculpture of King Charles III, despite the fact that the figure was a waxwork created by Madame Tussauds rather than a rare historical artifact. Some of the protesters ended up being charged with criminal damage, despite the fact that they remained committed to peaceful tactics of protesting, such as tossing food and gluing their hands to frames and walls. 2. The use of Tide detergent for stealing and trading. The middle of the 2010s has arrived, and the act of stealing money is essentially a non-starter for organized criminals. As a result of people carrying less cash than they used to, there is less cash in registers, and banks are better protected as a result because of this. So, what are some ways that one might quickly raise money? Those who committed crimes in the United States of America began using Tide detergent, which became the new dirty money. Due to the fact that it was the most popular brand of a household item, it was of high value and was in high demand. This indicated that it could be easily exchanged for other things or that it could be sold for cash. Moreover, it was non-perishable. It could not be traced, and it posed a significantly lower danger than the distribution of drugs in terms of both incarceration and physical assault. According to the words of one investigator in the year 2015, Tide bottles were the item to steal. Asterisk. Thefts frequently attempted to acquire as many bottles as they could in a single instance, loading shopping carts and luggage with the merchandise. Some individuals were even apprehended while attempting to steal as much as $25,000 worth of Tide during their detention. Despite the fact that some stores said that thefts of Tide were neither a new problem nor a wave of criminal activity, the detergent was so valuable in certain regions that the police referred to it as liquid gold. 1. The underground market for avocados. It was a very different item that was being targeted for coordinated and large-scale thefts in New Zealand, which is located on the opposite side of the planet. The item in question was avocados. After a particularly difficult season for farmers, there was a sudden and unexpected increase in the domestic demand for the fruit in 2016, which led to a significant increase in the price of the fruit. Farmers quickly discovered that their crops were being plundered in the dark of night, and criminals were able to take up to 350 avocados at a time by either raking them from the trees or plucking them by hand. They would be available for purchase at roadside booths, restaurants, sandwich shops, and even grocery stores in a short amount of time. Following the over 40 significant thefts of avocados that occurred during the first half of 2016, a number of farmers took precautions to preserve their crops by installing security measures such as lights and alarms around their farms. On the other hand, knowledgeable individuals pointed out that the theft of avocados would not be profitable for criminals over the long term. Due to the fact that the thieves did not possess the resources necessary to ship the goods to other nations, a bountiful crop might easily force prices to drop once more. And that's a wrap on today's countdown of the weirdest crime waves to ever hit the headlines. Which one did you find the most surprising or hilarious? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed to Creepshow for more mind-boggling tales from the darker side of human nature. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep it creepy.